All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a topic that honestly probably strikes a bit of fear, or at the very least, triggers a deep, exhausted sigh for professionals just about everywhere. Yep, we're talking about progress reports. But listen, we are absolutely not going to look at them as just another annoying administrative hurdle today. We're going to flip the script. Our goal is to completely transform how you view these updates, shifting them from a dreaded, time-consuming chore into a literal lifeline for your project's success. By the time we wrap up, you'll see exactly how mastering this one document can actually be a massive boost for your career visibility. So here is our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll cover why progress reports matter. Second, the anatomy of the update. Third, 3 ways to organize them. Fourth, the essential bookends. And finally, the final polish. Let's jump right into part 1, why progress reports matter. I want you to stop and reflect on your own collaborative work for a second. How do you keep a massive, let's say year-long project from going completely off the rails? Think about the absolute chaos that ensues when a project team just puts their heads down to work and, well, stops communicating with the outside world. People start making assumptions, budgets start to drift, and stakeholders, they get really nervous. Without structured communication, even the most brilliant, well-intentioned project can quickly spiral into a total disaster. And that is exactly where our definition comes into play. A progress report is basically a communication snapshot to inform interested parties about the progress made on a project over a duration of time. But I want you to think of it as way more than just a piece of paper or a boring email. Think of it as a critical lifeline sent back to Basecamp during a months-long project adventure. It tells the people who are funding or relying on your expedition that, hey, you're safe, you're moving forward, and you haven't been eaten by bears. So let's unpack the 6 core functions of a progress report. Honestly, think of these as your vital corporate survival tactics. First up, you reassure stakeholders that things are actually on track. Second, you provide insight into any early findings. Third, you invite feedback so you don't accidentally build the wrong thing. Fourth, and this is a big one, you highlight concerns. This is absolutely crucial because it lets you address issues before they explode. Fifth, you encourage accountability for both yourself and your team. And finally, you enhance your professionalism. Never forget that a really well-crafted report is essentially a glowing advertisement for your own organizational skills. Now, obviously, the format of this lifeline changes depending on who is actually receiving it, right? If you're updating someone inside your own organization, keep it internal. A short memo or an email is usually perfect. But if you're updating a client or someone outside your organization, you've got to switch to an external format, like a formal letter or a structured formal report. And timing? Timing is key. For a standard year-long project, it's pretty customary to send these updates at the 3, 6, and 9-month marks. Moving right along to section 2, anatomy of the update. The really crucial point here is that every single effective progress report contains these 5 non-negotiable elements. This is the real meat of your update. Step 1, completed work. What have you actually finished? Step 2, work in progress. What are you actively doing right now? Step 3, upcoming tasks. What's next on the docket? Step 4, problems or issues. And please, do not hide your problems. Explaining a delay and then offering a proposed solution shows incredible leadership. And finally, step 5, overall project status. Just a quick pulse check on deadlines and goals. If you hit these 5 points every time, you will literally never leave your reader guessing. All right, on to section 3, 3 ways to organize. When it comes to actually organizing all that info, you generally have 3 options. You can organize by time periods, breaking things down into previous, current, and planned work. You can organize by project tasks, where you break down the individual assignments. Or you can organize by report topics, focusing on the specific sections of your final deliverable. Now, here's a little pro tip. The absolute secret to a highly effective progress report: the best updates usually combine 2 of these strategies. For example, you might organize the whole document by project tasks, and then right under each task, use subheadings for the time periods. Let's ground these abstract concepts in a little bit of tangible reality here. Take a look at this excerpt from a real progress report by a project manager named Stephen C. Crosswell over at EchoByte Solutions. He's building a task management app. Notice how he uses the time period strategy right here. He writes, current period, refining the UI based on usability testing, implementing components using React and Tailwind CSS. It is incredibly specific. It tells the reader exactly what is happening right now without overwhelming them with a bunch of unnecessary fluff. Which brings us to section 4, the essential bookends. The first bookend is the introduction, which should pretty much always include your purpose, objectives, scope, dates, personnel, and a quick contents overview. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, come on, my boss already knows the purpose of the project. But do they? Stakeholders are busy people, usually juggling dozens of initiatives at once. Setting the context with a really strong project description is absolutely crucial for recipients who just might not remember the daily details of your specific project. Always, always remind them why they should care before you start listing out your completed tasks. And then, of course, the second bookend is the conclusion, or the overall appraisal. Let's look at how Stephen builds on our previous example. He signs off with, barring any major issues during the March 15 security review, we expect to deliver the MVP by the April 30 deadline. Guys, this is an incredibly effective sign-off. It perfectly reassures the audience, appraises the overall health of the project, and it brings a much-needed human element to a highly structured document. It just leaves the reader feeling totally safe and informed. Finally, Section 5, the final polish. I want you to think of this revision checklist as your final pre-flight safety checks before launching a rocket. Step 1, verify you're actually using the right format. Remember, internal memo versus external letter. Step 2, check those bookends. Do your intro and conclusion actually ground the reader? Step 3, utilize headings and lists. Literally nobody wants to read a giant wall of text. Break it up visually. Step 4, provide specific details. Try to avoid vague statements like, oh, we made progress. Tell them what progress. And step 5, write for norm specialists. You've got to bring that technical jargon down to a level that any stakeholder can understand without needing an engineering degree to decode it. So we've broken down the anatomy, the organization, the bookends, and that crucial final polish. Now I want to leave you with this one final thought. Is your very next project update going to be just a simple, begrudging checklist that you rush through, or is it going to be a strategic tool for your success? By applying these structures, you aren't just reporting on your work, you are actively demonstrating leadership, transparency, and total control over your project. Take these techniques, apply them to your next update, and just watch how your stakeholders respond. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy writing!